In Australia today, there is a mental health crisis.
In the last 20 or 30 years, the incidence of people suffering from mental illness living in the community has increased considerably.
Mental illness is an illness. It's an illness like anything else. We seem to be able to support and help and refer people with just about any other illness, but when it comes to mental illness, it seems to be a hand-off attitude.
Mental illness sits at number 3 on the chart, just below cardiovascular disease and cancer.
Grossly underfunded and under-resourced. Very little that really helps people in the community adequately in any way, and very little collaboration between governments and non-government organisations.
If we're to be faithful to the spirit of the society, then we need to be fair dinkum about helping to relieve these forms of poverty.
Because they are the poorest of the poor. I thought our job was to respond to the needs of the poor. You can't go any poorer than that in many ways. They're not just poor materially, they're poor in their isolation, in their loneliness and their ostracism by society.
Society started in 1833 with Frederick Ozanam and a group of his university mates who got together and decided that they would do something specific to help the poor of Paris at the time. And after consulting with Sister Rosalie Rondeau, the first act of the society was taking a bunch of firewood to a poor man who had no firewood and was cold in Paris in winter. And thus was born the tradition of home visitation. And interestingly, Ozanam himself and our new rule states that the giving of time and talents can often be much better or more important than the giving of money.
I think the society can be absolutely vital in the ongoing community support for people with mental illness. Medical professionals may not see people all that regularly. Even caseworkers can have, they can have a caseload of 60 people.
To my knowledge, Vincentians are the only people, the only organisation that go out and actually visit people in their homes to offer friendship, companionship and assistance.
If Vincentians are on the scene, they're meeting people, they're encountering people, they may be appealed to at a time when people are feeling in crisis. They may be the first line of call. They may be the ones who can alert the health professional and allow a situation to be dealt with before it escalates into an emergency.
The new rule tells us that we should be creative and adaptive in attacking and trying to relieve new forms of poverty. It's essential, if we are to live the spirit of the new rule, to tackle some of these problems head on. We can't just pick and choose what sort of poverty we're going to look after. We can't pick and choose what sort of poverty we're going to relieve. It's obvious that social isolation and mental illness are true issues of poverty today.
I think one of the challenges for Vincentians is not just to drop off the food parcels, which we've done in the past and in many cases may still be needed, but we have to be willing to relate to these people, to people with mental illness, with a friendship.
And our members are saying that they become more and more aware of visiting people in their home who suffer a mental illness.
Mental illness is very common in all levels of society. Even many famous and brilliant people have suffered from it over the centuries, and there is no real reason to be afraid.
We're going to be afraid of anything we don't know. Ozanam, our founder, when he dropped the wood at the poor man's door, turned and ran. He didn't wait till the door opened. He was afraid of what sort of reaction he might get from the person who he was delivering the wood to.
It's the fear factor, it's the unknown.
Some of us may be afraid if we've had no experience of working with people with a mental illness.
One of the problems, and that most people wouldn't understand, is that a lot of the strange behaviours of people with mental illness are not due to the illness at all. They're due to the medications, particularly the old medications.
There's less episodes of violence with mental patients than there is with the general population.
But I think the fear factor means that people are often unwilling to even try to relate to people with mental illness. They're frightened. They're frightened of violence. There's this stereotype